Hey everyone, welcome to a new edition of the program presented by Novig. My guest this week, USA Basketball, Stephen Silas, longtime NBA head coach, assistant coach, who's now leading USA Basketball in its qualifying tournaments ahead of the 2027 World Cup. Here's my conversation with Stephen Silas. This episode of the program is presented by Novig, the peer-to-peer sports prediction market with no house, no hidden fees, and the best odds in the game. Whether you're a casual fan or a sharp trader, Novig lets you play smarter, win bigger, and make picks in a whole new way. And it's available in over 35 states. Learn more at novig.us/Woj and use code the program for a match up to $100 on your first purchase. Welcome into Stephen Silas, longtime NBA assistant coach, a head coach with the Houston Rockets, a lifer in the game of basketball. And now, Stephen, with USA Basketball, is the head coach here last year, 2025, and now in 2026 for USA Basketball's World Cup qualifying. Eric Spoelstra will be the national team coach in the next cycle. But there's a period of time here, right, Stephen, where you take teams and you'll do this coming up later this month in Southern California in World Cup qualifying, and uh, that's where I want to start with you, Stephen. Putting together in a very short window of time with players who are coming from G League, who might be out of basketball trying to get back in, who've been NBA players or high level European players, a very short window of preparation time against teams who have been together, who've been able to practice. Um, it's a unique discipline in team building, right?
Yeah, it sure is. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's difficult because of all the reasons that you shared. It's a short period of time where we only have like 6 or 7 practices going in to a 2 game window, and we really don't know our roster until a couple weeks before. So all of the things that I love to do as far as preparation and making sure that I know the players and know the guys and their strengths and their weaknesses, along with preparing a team to play in games, it makes it a little bit difficult, but I love it. It's so much fun. I've coached 12 games and had a different roster for each window and different assistant coaches and different problems and different things that come up because there's so much um, difference between the NBA game and the FIBA game. So it's a great challenge, but yeah, it's difficult when you're trying to put together a group of guys who have experience all over the place and trying to bring them together for 2 games where we're expected to win.
Right, right. And that's any time you have that USA across your chest, they have it on their uniform. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Doesn't matter if you all showed up and met yesterday. You're expected to win.
Absolutely. I mean, we're gonna get whoever we're playing, we're gonna get their best, especially on the road. When we play on the road, it's really, really tough because the fans are so into it, and this is their one opportunity to see their country play against the USA, and there's a lot that goes into it. We actually played in the AmeriCup tournament in Nicaragua, and we lost to Uruguay, and they were dancing on the floor and, like, crying, and it was, like, unbelievable, and I told the guys, "This is what I've been telling you. This is what I've been talking about as far as the pride that goes into it and, what these teams really are gonna give when it comes to playing the USA."
Stephen, listen, I think there's a lot of coaches in a lot of different sports at different levels who are asked to put together teams for very short windows. The way you have, there may not be as much at stake on an international level, but I think it's something coaches at in different sports, different levels have to deal with. Where do you start when the process of putting a team together, probably trying to simplify what you can even install.
Yeah.
How did you start in attacking this? How do you start? You've got another event coming up here for World Cup qualifying this month. How are you attacking that?
Yeah, it starts with who's available, really, and, obviously, it's during the NBA season, so we're kind of restricted to G League guys or guys who have played in the league prior and are trying to get back or, are looking for a situation where, they can be seen. So we start there, but then it goes to the FIBA game, right? And the FIBA game is very different than the USA game. I mean, the NBA or G League game, like I said earlier. It's much more physical. There is a lot less, the possessions matter a lot more because it's a 40-minute game versus a 48-minute game. The 3-point shot is, you think about the games where the USA has lost, right? It's usually the three ball that kills you, where a team gets hot all of a sudden and they start making three after three after three, and then you're trying to play catch up. So, um, doing the schematic things that limit 3-point shots is big when we're talking about FIBA, and then teaching the guys the FIBA game. A lot of these guys that we have coming in have never played FIBA or have played just a little bit and haven't really had to focus on the rule differences. And even for me, like, say there's a free throw and there's 5 seconds on the clock and the free throw is missed. I can't call a timeout like I can in the NBA, call a timeout and advance it as long as we don't dribble the ball. No, we have to go. So we have to be prepared for all those situations. So, like you're saying, there's a lot because my nature is to prepare for everything that's coming, right? But in order for the guys to play well, it's important for me to keep it simple, as simple as I possibly can, while also giving them the opportunity to play to their strengths, and then diving into the defensive part because for the most part, our guys can play offense. I can put a few things in. They'll be able to, execute well. And I usually put, it's not about me, right? It's not about the things that I'm going to put in and the wrinkles and all that stuff. It's about the players being comfortable with what we're doing. So we keep it simple offensively, and defense is like 75% of the things because defending some of the actions that these teams run and defending some of the different things that we'll see that are different than they've ever seen before is important. So we spend like 75% of our time on the defensive end and then keep it super, super simple on the offensive end.
I imagine restraint is probably a quality you have to have in
Yes.
doing this, right? Restraint in saying, as much as I'd love to install that, and I think it's too much too quick, right? Is there a lot of, I'd love to do that, but where you got to talk yourself out of, like you said, it's got to be about them versus what you want to, maybe sometimes what you might want to do.
There's a That's a great point because a lot of the time that I spend with the guys is allowing them to scrimmage and play because to me, in that short of a window, these guys gotta learn how to play with each other. They gotta learn how to play to their strengths and help their teammates play to their strengths, and, so a lot of it is half court work or full court work where they can actually get up and down and play and find a rhythm with each other because if they don't have that, it doesn't matter what the schemes are. It doesn't matter what the stuff is. So,
And
yes.
right, I would think, Stephen, too, you need to see them scrimmage, um, to see what everybody can do. You're trying to learn the strengths of these players you may not know very well,
Definitely. I mean,
right?
the playing groups is one of the things that we kind of talk about during our coaches meetings quite a bit because we don't we've watched film and we've heard of these guys and we talked to people about them, but until you see them on the floor together, you really don't know. So in such a short period of time, yes, the scrimmaging part is huge because they need to be able to play cohesively together. So, yes, to answer your question, there's a lot of tongue biting and and notes that are scratched out and parts of practice that I'm like, nah, we have to move on to the next thing. So, yeah, our coaches meetings are very, very detailed and long and all that, but we bring it all the way down to something that the players can digest.
Hearing about the strategy behind roster building reminds me of how Novig approaches sports predictions. It's all about making smart plays with the best odds. On Novig, you're in control, matching up directly with other fans, not the house. No VIG, just fair matchups. Learn more about Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market, at novig.us/Woj, and use code the program for a matchup to $100 on your first purchase. Stephen, Jeff Van Gundy had your role, a few years ago and coached a couple cycles of um, uh, America Cup, World Cup qualifying. Uh, your coaching tree goes back with Jeff. He worked with your dad, the
Yeah.
legendary Paul Silas, with the Knicks. I think you've probably known Jeff since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Was he somebody whose brain you picked going into this experience?
Absolutely. He was the first person I called. So Sean Ford, who's amazing, by the way, he called me and asked me if I wanted to do it, and he was like, "Reach out to Jeff." So the first call I made was to Jeff, and Jeff was like, "Absolutely do it." He was like, "There's so much that's good about it. There's guys who come in and really want to work, and there's a lot of guys who want to be there and haven't played for their country before or haven't worn the USA on their chest, and that's a cool thing as well. But the guys that we get, the guys that Sean picks, are usually just great guys who are willing and able to do whatever you want them to do." But Jeff, I lean on Jeff quite a bit. Like when I was a head coach of Houston, I used to call Jeff. We would go to lunch and spend a lot of time together. He's a basketball
Yeah,
genius, but he's also really good at the people part and
yeah.
the group dynamic part. So yeah, whether it's USA basketball or playing groups or whatever, Jeff is someone I've always leaned on.
Uh, your career as an NBA coach, Stephen, you've been around some great teams, some great players. Um, Golden State with a young Steph Curry, and in Charlotte with Steve Clifford for playoff teams there. And um, what do you draw on in this experience with, taking on, you were the head coach in very much of a rebuild situation in Houston with very, very young guys, a lot of immature guys that it was just going to be difficult. Teams like that just aren't built to win in the NBA. What do you draw from in all of that for uh, to coach USA basketball in these short intervals of team building?
There's a lot. Adaptability is number one. Just all the different places I've coached, all the different people that I've coached, all the different coaches that I've coached with, kind of make me who I am as a coach. And I draw on a lot of the experiences, whether it was when I was super young coaching with my dad and, Baron Davis and David Wesley and those guys are on the team, or we had LeBron in Cleveland, or Steph in Golden State and Kemba and Luka,
Yeah.
like all the guys who I've coached. I learned so much from the really good players. And the the one thing is this this role as far as leading the national team and doing it in a way where the only way that people know whether I'm coaching the team or not is if we lose. I really draw on so many of the experiences because you feel like when you're in the NBA, you feel like you're under the spotlight all the time. Like every game is so very important, and you carry that on to USA basketball. Like, to be in these situations where we're not supposed to lose. Where there's a lot of things kind of stacked against us as far as our preparation and our team building and all those things. But when it comes down to it, the job is to win, and that's what the NBA is about. As far as all the stuff that happens and all the people and all that, like your job is to win. That's what my dad always used to say. Like, hey, my job is to win games. So, yeah, I've been around some great people, learned from so many, Rick Carlisle and Don Nelson, and all these people who really like helped me through this career. But taking just a little bit from each person and then understanding that, yeah, it's going to be difficult and all the stuff, but if you do it to your best of your ability and really do it with a pure heart, then things will end up the way you want it to. So yeah, it's that was a good question. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but I have drawn from so
Yeah.
many different people and experiences.
I mean, Stephen, you were in Detroit with Monty Williams
Yeah,
um, and have had certainly over the last couple of years, if you wanted to be back in the league as one of the top, being an associate head coach, a top assistant, I know those opportunities have been there for you. You've
yeah,
stayed out, and I think this USA basketball experience, my sense is a big part of it. Like you've really enjoyed this, um, and it's made you maybe you know put off going back into the league on a full time basis.
for sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, if I weren't doing USA basketball, there would be a big void in my life because I love basketball and I love coaching and I've been around it my whole life. So not having that would be tough, obviously. But in the same like vein, being with my family more, spending more time with them, trying to make up the time that you know, the time that you've lost being on the road or being just kind of like engaged in wins and losses and players and all that stuff for 24 straight years for me. Uh, yeah, it's been like a godsend to have USA basketball during this time. So I've been spending a lot of time with my family. I've been going on trips. I've been traveling, doing all the stuff that I wanted to do, but also having this opportunity to coach Team USA, to work with some amazing people like Sean and Patrick Ewing, who's one of my assistant coaches, and um, just really, really kind of refocus as far as like, yeah, the Detroit year was hard and the Houston years were hard, but I love it. I love basketball and I love coaching and finding that balance between who Coach Silas is and who Stephen Silas is has been something I've worked on in these last couple of years.
And you know this, it's easy to get cynical around the NBA sometimes, especially when things aren't going well, because it sometimes it brings out the worst in everybody, it brings out the worst in ownership, management, your players. It's not pleasant because there's so much scrutiny and pressure to perform. And I imagine you're in an environment now, the players who are wearing those USA uniforms, this might be like Jeff Van Gundy said to you, that they're not guys who are ever going to be candidates to certainly be on, they probably weren't on the 17 and under, the 18 and under
Right.
national teams that went off and played. They're not going to be Olympians. Um, but they get to play in these tournaments and represent the US and have a say in kind of how, um, where the national team's going to pick up from. Uh, is there something refreshing about that and about what those guys that you see it means something to them? They may never have a stage quite like this in their careers for many of them.
Absolutely. I mean, when you see the guys when they first get their jerseys and they like look at them and they like take pictures and then they have the media day where they have the flag draped around them and you can see it really means something to them. And then to have Patrick Ewing with us where he was on the dream team
Right.
and then also won a gold medal in the 84 Olympics. Um, there have been a lot of guys who have wanted to wear that jersey and have played at a high, high, high level and have never been able to wear that jersey. Like, whatever, my dad, he played in the NBA 16 years, all-star, all the stuff, never once wore USA on his chest at any level. So there's a lot more opportunities now than there were then, but it's still super, super special just because the small, small group that have worn that jersey.
No, that's tremendous, Stephen. Listen, uh, want to wish you the best of luck in Oceanside, California here this month in the World Cup qualifying. Always great to connect with you. And I know in your travels here over the next several months, we'd love to get you out here to St. Bonaventure, spend some time with us. But good luck next week and or this month, I should say, Stephen. And it was great catching up with you.
Thanks, Woj. I appreciate it.
Okay. A big thank you again to my guest this week, USA Basketball, Stephen Silas. Catch us again next Wednesday with a new edition of the program.